Good morning, people. How are you doing today? I hope you can tell my voice sounds a little stronger this morning. I took off the last day or so because I got sick again. Going outside, doing too much, thinking I was better. I wasn't better. I was in limbo, and I paid the price. I have two quick videos to make for you. Two quick videos to make for you this morning. This morning, by the way, being the 7th day of September 2025. It's about 8:15 in the morning on a Sunday. I want to talk about the article Taylor Lorenz wrote with others at Wired magazine. She was the main contributor to it, but it was fact-checked and it was gone over by Wired's people, and it's still up today. I think I posted a link to it on the 28th of August. It talked about Chorus, this group that has popped up in the last couple of years in order to funnel money into left-wing fucking influencers, in order to influence the left-wing influencers. Give them talking points in the morning, have them attend various seminars during the week with the messaging, telling them what they probably shouldn't say, but doing so in such a way that they can't really be held to account for that, but still saying, this is what we believe, and this is how we suggest you talk about, say, the legal aspects of Donald Trump rounding up people and throwing them in alligator Alcatraz or alligator Auschwitz, however you want to look at it. This is clearly them putting forward an effort with, from what I understand, for what Taylor Lorenz wrote, about 90 left-leaning influencers in order to, as they put it, do the same thing with the left to cultivate the alt-left media, the same way the right cultivates the alt-right media. And so, of course, they justify it by saying we have to fight back against what they're doing because what they're doing is successful, and if we don't do this, then we're going to rot on the vine. So we have to do the same thing they're doing. Basically, what they're saying is a modern-day 2025 version of what Bill Clinton, former head of the DLC, the Democratic Leadership Council, the corporatist left, what he said back in the 1990s, we have to move our messaging to the center in order to fucking compete with the Republicans, because we keep losing to the Republicans, which wasn't true. The party undermined Jimmy Carter, who was definitely not fucking moving the left to the fucking center. Basically, we have to move to the right. Barack Obama himself once stated, after he left office, that had he been around in the 80s, his positions would have been right of Ronald Reagan. And he was absolutely correct. So, the argument the Chorus folks are making, one of the arguments, we'll talk about David Peckman in a second, but one of the arguments these Chorus folks are making is we have to do this in order to compete with them because they're having so much success with it, and their example is Donald Trump. Donald Trump lost actually 2 of the 3 elections that he participated in. He won 2016 because it was a populist message. Bernie Sanders would have won the primary on his populist messaging, had they not rigged the fucking primaries. Which again, we can't talk about that anymore. We can't talk about electronic voting machines. All that stuff is being fucking retconned and whitewashed, like a lot of other things, and that's part of the second video I'm going to talk about today. But we can't talk about that, but it's true. It's very true. That's why Donald Trump won. 2020, Donald Trump lost. And he actually did lose. 2021 or 24, Donald Trump lost again. He actually did lose. But they stole the fucking election for him because he was willing to slam the economic brick down on us with a vengeance. They had Project 2025 in the works. And of course, he took all that money from Miriam Adelson to hand over the West Bank to glorious Israel. None of these things are conspiracy theory. These are all facts. There's a ton of evidence suggesting Kamala Harris actually won in 2025. You can look that shit the fuck up yourself. We're going to talk about what this company is, what Chorus is. I want to show you something briefly. I'm going to give you a rundown of what I'm talking about here. When people hear the term chorus, this is what they think. They think of a bunch of people dressed very nicely, singing on Sunday and sometimes on Wednesday to the congregation and dancing and doing it very well. That's a chorus. They believe that's what chorus means. That's not what chorus means. What chorus in this context means is this. That is a Greek chorus. Not from mythology, but from theater, specifically from tragedy. Though chorus mechanism can be used in Greek comedy, but it's certainly used in Greek tragedy. What does it mean? Give me 1 second, and I will explain. What do you mean by that, Scott? This is Chorus, by the way. We are Chorus. Chorus is a creator-led nonprofit organization dedicated to helping content creators expand their reach and educate their audiences. Tell you what to think about news and public policy and issues that impact their lives. Educate their audiences. We're going to tell you what's going on in the news and what's going on with public policy, how it's going to affect your life, so what you should think about it. This is what a Greek chorus is in tragedy. The chorus was a collective group of 12 to 20 male performers who sang and danced and commented on the events of the play. Very important to remember this. Keep this in mind. Expand their reach and educate their audiences about the news and public policies that impact their lives. Tell them what's going on, what they're seeing, and what to think about it. Okay, that's what they say. They serve several crucial functions, the Greek chorus, providing background information and commentary on the plot and themes, telling people in the audience what they're seeing, reflecting the community's viewpoint, and guiding the audience's interpretation of the story. Guiding the audience's interpretation of the story. Guiding the audience's interpretation of the story. That's what they do. That's where they came up with chorus. Chorus has nothing to do with this. They want you to think this when you hear their name, but what they mean is this. There are plenty of examples of how Greek choruses have been used in pop culture. I'm going to show you a couple. What the hell, Scott? That's Norm from Cheers. Indeed it is. Cheers was an attempt back in the 80s to take Greek theater, Greek comedy, and use it as the format to make a weekly show. And it was wildly successful. And you can go back and look at the stereotypical, the archetypal characters in Greek comedy. A funny thing happened on the way to the forum is another example, but that was much earlier in the 60s and it was a film. But you can look at Greek archetypal characters in comedy and they perfectly match all the characters in Cheers, with the exception of one. Norm. What was Norm's function in Cheers? Most of the episodes started with the door opening, Norm walking in, and everyone, including the live studio audience, going, "Norm!" as he walks in. Norm sits and watches, and every now and then he interjects some commentary on what he's saying. And it's wry and it's witty, but it's on point. And then at the end, most times he'll have some little fucking quip that summarizes the whole episode, and then the episode ends with them cleaning up at the end of the shift, or the end of the day, at the end of the fucking night, and Norm being the last one to leave. The first one in, Norm! And the last one out. What was his name? Norm. What does that represent? Normal folks. You, for instance. Norm was the Greek chorus mechanism applied to Greek comedy, that is Cheers. I got a better example for you. Even if you don't want to believe that that was what Norm's function was, which it was, by the way, I got a better example for you. Linda. From my namesake is Willie Loman, Death of a Salesman. Linda serves in a Greek tragedy. Death of a Salesman was an attempt to take a Greek tragedy and turn it into a modern play in 1949. And it was wildly successful. It's a great fucking play. People don't understand it to this day, and they're told it doesn't mean what it actually does mean. But the reality is, the play was brilliant. 1949. Willie Loman was the classic Greek tragic figure. He was a prince among men who, due to his own fucking failings, crashed and fell from grace, but came to a better understanding of himself and the world around him. And the one who explains it all to you is Linda. Attention must be paid to people like Willie. That's literally one of the last lines in the play. Linda was, in fact, the chorus. Now, I have another pop culture reference for you. One more, in case you don't get where I'm going with this. And again, you're probably going to sit back and go, but Scott. But then if you start to think about the language that was used in this particular production, and the spectacle that was used in this particular production, and the good versus the evil, and the plots and the subplots, there's a film based on a book that utilizes the chorus mechanism as a reflection of you, the audience, and what you're supposed to get from the film, from the story, and how you're supposed to feel about it, and more specifically, what you're supposed to do. And I know you've seen this before. I'm going to show it to you again, and maybe you'll see it in a new light. They were the chorus in V is for Vendetta. And in the end, they all take off their masks, and it's all the dead people, and all the people who've been gone, all the people who've been missing, and all of you. And what are they doing? Standing up and fighting back. was a deliberate homage, if you would, to the Greek tragedy and the chorus mechanism. Okay, are you with me? That's what chorus means. Guiding the audience's interpretation of the story. They want to guide your understanding of the world and these issues that impact your lives. And who pays for it? The 1630 Fund. And this is the 1630 Fund from influencewatch.org. I'll post links to these things down below for you. By the way, the most famous of the Greek choruses was from the Oresteia, Agamemnon, Clytemnestra, and Orestes, and they were called the Furies. By the way, Agamemnon's a great fucking play. It's a Greek tragedy. Okay. Which I think is more apropos, by the way. The way they intend to use fucking the chorus of influencers, of 90 influencers, more as the Furies than as Norm or Linda. But let's continue. This is from influencewatch.org, and this is where chorus was founded, what made chorus, and who pays for chorus. They get their money from something called the 1630 Fund, which is a dark money political action committee or group that doesn't have to disclose the corporate funding. But if you go to their page on Open Secrets, you will see that of the $24 million or some shit that they got in 2024, 23.99 million of it, or 23.99 million of it, came from corporate donors, corporations, with I think 11,000 coming from individuals. But the vast amount of it came from corporate money. Quote, in April of 2021, the New York Times criticized Arabella's system. Arabella is the managing advisors, manages the 1630 Fund. It says so right up there, no, upper right-hand side. The New York Times criticized Arabella's system of political financing, which often obscures the identities of donors as dark money, calling the network a leading vehicle for it on the left. That's 2021. In May of 2021, the New York Times identified 1630 Fund as one of the leading dark money spenders on the left, for quietly supporting Democrats with more than $63 million in super PAC donations that hurt Republicans in the 2020 elections. Excuse me. As well as for helping create and fund dozens of groups, including some that work to block Mr. Trump's nominees and push progressive appointments by Mr. Biden. The Atlantic, a left-leaning magazine, has called the 1630 Fund the indisputable heavyweight of Democratic dark money. This is a left-leaning fucking periodical, by the way, the Atlantic, that isn't a big fan of 1630, which funneled, quote, roughly 61 million in effectively untraceable money to progressive causes. How do you trace untraceable corporate money to progressive causes? Making it the, quote, second largest super PAC donor in 2020. Of Arabella advisors, the Atlantic noted that the mothership company runs a massive progressive dark money group you've never heard of. It added, Democrats have quietly pulled ahead of Republicans in untraceable political spending. One group helped make it happen. Left-leaning Politico has called the 1630 Fund a massive dark money network responsible for boosting Democrats in the 2018 midterm elections, a liberal dark money behemoth, a secretly funded nonprofit, and one of the left's financial hubs responsible for attacking Republican senators in 2019. Republican seniors. They went around and beat them on the head. Continuing, the 1630 Fund has also been characterized as one of the key groups founded to resist Trump by left-leaning Atlantic. Politico noted that late 2021 that the 1630 Fund exploded in size during the Trump administration, doling out a whopping $410 million in 2020 alone, and aiding Democratic efforts to unseat then-President Donald Trump and win back the Senate, control of the Senate for Democrats. Of course, this is the point of dark money funding. You're never going to know where it came from. 1630 Fund is what funds this shit. Now, here's their website. It tells you about their founders. Oh, look, it's a rainbow. Specifically a rainbow. It's a rainbow of people. All the identity politics are represented there. What do they tell you about where it comes from, where the money comes from? Nothing. Tells you nothing. Tells you abso-fucking-lutely nothing. You can get in touch, you can ask questions, and you can join chorus. No thank you. Okay, so why am I telling you all this? And again, I'll post a link to this right here. I was pissed off at Wired for hiding this shit behind a paywall. But there you have it. It's well worth your time. This is the article by Taylor Lorenz. Okay, so I need to give you a little background on what we're talking about so you can understand what exactly chorus is and what it means. And this is what it is. And this is what it means. Now, all that said, let me explain to you a little bit of what's going on. First of all, David Pakman. David Pakman was mentioned in the article, and he's fighting back, or trying to fight back, pretending as if he did this video to fight back, to push back, because he cares so much about his audience, as he was bleeding, hemorrhaging fucking followers. He's one of the ones getting $8,000 a month. This is a guy who, by the way, dressed up himself and his entire family in pajamas that are covered with the stars of David and the Israeli flag. Bibi sent me a picture of him and his wife and his kids, apparently all wearing matching fucking pajamas, proudly displaying just how Jewish they are. David Pakman decided to fight back against this Taylor Lorenz article by, first of all, not addressing what she said, instead creating a straw man saying, oh my God, and then so he talks about the fact that, this is what they said in the thing, but he doesn't address the truth of what she said, because they clearly had a contract. They looked at a contract. They had a couple of people they knew. He was one of them. He can't argue with that. And they had their own lawyers and people read the fucking contract and fact check her. Her article still stands on Wired, and because it's accurate. So he couldn't address that. So he made up some story about others looking at this and all of a sudden saying he's taking money from AIPAC or IPAC. I don't know. I don't even know how you pronounce it. He said that, literally. And then, of course, people pulled up the 90 or so different times he's referred to AIPAC in his previous reporting, and he knew exactly how to pronounce it. So he's lying to start with. So when he's lying to start with, and he's creating straw man arguments, then the rest of what comes out of his mouth is pointless. He's just a fucking liar. He claims that, the fact that the dark money from the 1630 Fund, which comes from corporate America, by the way, I want you to understand that. Just like the money for Black Lives Matter came from corporate America. I want you to understand that. He says taking that fucking money from corporate America is what he suggested the alt-left do for years. So it's not like they made me do something I didn't want to do. Of course not. He's been a sellout for years. And he goes to bed at night wearing his fucking I Love Israel fucking, and makes his kids wear matching I Love Israel fucking pajamas. That's David Packman. Over on Katie Halper's website, YouTube channel. I'm not going to post a link to that or this young girl's video. You can find it yourself. It's Katie Halper's YouTube channel. She did an interview, and it's broken up into several videos with Taylor Lorenz, talking about, mainly talking about influencers trying to weasel their way out of being involved in this. Now, I don't know if this young girl, there's a young girl who talks a lot with her hands. I mean, it's obnoxious. She has to talk with her hands. I want to say this quickly. Influencers are taught to do this. It comes from, I think it comes from the success of rap. But the success of rap had nothing to do with gestures. It had everything to do with, when it started, it had everything to do with messaging, which is, again, extremely populist and anti-fucking establishment. Not so much now. Basically what they focus on now, because major corporations have taken over, and the only thing you're going to hear in most rap radio stations, whether it's broadcast or online, is all about get money, love money, 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 money is great, money, 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 fuck everything else, money is everything, which is not how rap started. But again, I think the idea of waving your hands around like Russell fucking Brand, like a goddamn clown, I think influencers are taught to do this because it's eye candy. You watch Taylor Lorenz and Katie Halper talking about this young woman, and they're just sitting there like reporters thinking that you're smart enough to be engaged in what's being said and thinking for yourself. When they show her video, she's just waving on TikTok. She's waving her hands around like like she's trying to fly away, like a crackhead. Because they're taught to do this. Even if it's meaningless gestures, just as long as there's some action taking place. The theory is that lower IQ folks watch stuff like that like a cat will watch a laser pointer on a fucking wall. They'll just be mesmerized by it. And that's where fucking Russell Brand and others get their fucking get their delivery styles. And it's sad. It's good to see Taylor Lorenz and fucking Katie Halper not buying into that shit. But this is what this young influencer was doing, and it's very obnoxious, which is another reason I'm not going to show it. I'll flip out. She's talking about her participation in the Chorus mentoring program. I took a few notes watching this. As they point out, she has this tendency to start off with showing her contract behind her with her face and her waving hand superimposed in front of it, trying to say that what Taylor Lorenz wrote is not a representation of what the contract was. But then, as she read the contract, what Taylor Lorenz wrote was exactly what the contract said. I'm going to prove Taylor Lorenz is full of shit. Because Taylor Lorenz said this and this and this about the contract. So here's my contract. It says exactly the same this and this and this. I mean, literally, this is what she was doing. While waving her hand around like a fucking mental patient. There's no accounting for intelligence. And I guess she's just trying to tell you. She's trying to use that fucking, she's trying to use the Jedi mind trick on you. These aren't the droids you're looking for. When in fact, that's exactly the droids Taylor Lorenz was talking about. I got about 11 points I want to talk about her video. this young woman's video. She says that, they never told her what to do, what to say, what was right or what was wrong. And then she shows you, yes, in fact, every day. She tells you every day in the contract. And then she tells you every day they had to meet in the morning for talking points on the specific topics of the day, the news of the day, which is exactly what Chorus says on their website. So she tells you every day they got talking points. 3 times a week, they had mandatory meetings on messaging. They would have their legal team paid from on high, their legal team paid from corporate America to come out there, and you had to participate. If you were getting the $8,000 a month, you had to participate. And they would tell you what the fucking legal, like the example she gave was Donald Trump rounding up illegal immigrants and rushing them off to like Alligator, Alcatraz, or Auschwitz, or however you want to look at it. And they had their messaging. Okay, this is what we talk about. Here's the legal references that you want to mention. So they gave them messaging points as well, which of course this young woman, while her hand was waving around, was saying, we don't get fucking talking points. We're not told what the message is. And then she comes out and tells you they take the talking points every morning, and every 3 times a week they get the messages. The messaging. There's no accounting for fucking intelligence. She says every Friday they had a seminar which was you could attend it or not. But of course, if you want to keep getting the $8,000 a month, you're definitely going to attend as many as you can. Plus, the point of the Friday messaging, which was different than the 3 during the week, so they had 1 day off. But the Friday messaging was all about growing their brand. She says in the video that she understood that it came from the 1630 fund. And she says she had problems with that. And so she had to think about it. And then she said she had a conversation with her family and her loved ones and her friends and her advisors. And she finally decided, and I'll tell you in a second why she says she decided, to take the $8,000 a month or whatever it was. I mean, it was somewhere between $8,000 and $3,000 a month, depending on the size of your audience. Let's pretend it was $5,000 because she didn't say how much it was. I'm going to tell you what the discussion was. I'm going to go through the discussion with you as if I'm her. I'll be over here as her, and I'll be over here as her loved one. Chorus has contacted me, and they said they'll pay me $5,000 a month from 1630 fund if I don't know, listen to what they have to say and take the messages and kind of amplify what they tell us to do on every morning when they give us the talking points. I don't know if I should take it or not. What do you think? Bitch, please. And that's the end of that's the end of Scotty Theater. Bitch, please. She was probably making about $144 a month from Patreon. And she was barely paying the bills. She's riding a bus. $5,000 a month will pay for a decent fucking apartment and a nice lease on her new pink fucking Mercedes. I don't know if she has a new pink Mercedes or not, but I'm guessing she probably does at $5,000 a month. Plus, they have a program every Friday, which is why I'm bringing this up, that they can attend if they want, that teaches them how to expand their brand. So she's getting more now than just the $144 a month Patreon. I don't know. I'm just dragging that number out my ass. But she's getting more now because she has more followers, she has more subscribers, she has more views on her fucking YouTube channel and TikTok channels. So she's getting more money that way as well because she's now part of the network of these people promoting each other and sharing fucking followers and sharing fucking likes and sharing fucking subs and linking back and forth to what they're doing. So she's making a lot more money. So she had to say to her friends and family, I don't know if I should take the... Bitch, please. Bitch, you're on fucking food stamps. And someone's offering you $5,000. Bitch, goddamn. You best take that money. And scene. Who the fuck does she think she's fooling? Now that's just $5,000. $8,000 a month. Holy shit, that's a David Pac-Man money. Moving on. One of the things she talks about is, but Republicans have been doing this, and Donald Trump won in 2000. First of all, Donald Trump didn't win 2024. It was stolen, electronic voting machines. Second, gives a fuck. There's a great bit being done now by South Park, who hasn't had a good bit for a long time. I think Al Gore. I think Al Gore and Man Bear Pig. They haven't had a good fucking bit since Man Bear Pig, but which was a great bit, by the way. But they have this bit now in South Park where Donald Trump is fucking Satan. Satan walks off into the bushes playing golf, and Donald Trump follows after him, stripping naked and showing his little peenie, and goes into the bushes. Oh my God! And Fox News is all excited, and Sean Hannity's all excited. Look at that, folks! I can confirm Donald Trump is fucking Satan, and everyone goes yay, and they pop champagne. It's a play on words. They're not saying he's having sex with Satan; they're saying he is Satan. Donald Trump is fucking Satan, and that's the play on words. But just because, let's pretend for a second that Donald Trump did win 2024. Shall we? He didn't win on a populist campaign messaging that he won in 2016. He lost in 2024, but it was much more corporatist. But let's pretend that he actually won, and let's pretend that the corporate money paying for alt-right fucking messaging is what caused it. Come here, get closer, come here. I want to whisper to you. You ready? Here's the reality. So fucking what? If the Republicans win by blowing fucking Satan, does that mean we have to blow fucking Satan in order to win? Or just expose the fact that they're blowing fucking Satan? So, when it comes to, but the Republicans are doing it, go fuck yourself. You're an idiot. Moving on. We have to compete. That's the same point. I don't know why I took that point. She actually says this in her video. She says, I'll take the dark money from the 1630 fund until we're in power, and then I'll stop. And I'll stop so that others who come after me, she's so fucking noble. Others who come after me won't be burdened by taking the $8,000 a fucking month and getting a nice home and a new lease on your pink fucking Mercedes convertible. What a fucking hero she is. I'll take the corporate money, the dirty corporate money. I'll take the dirty corporate money and I'll put it in my pocket, and I'll buy nice things, and I'll get my nails done so that nobody coming along behind me will have to do that, because I'm a fucking hero. This is what she says. This is the mental gymnastics of selling out to fucking corporatism. That's what it is. I was talking to Aunt Bibi, and we're pondering how what's happened to America. What are we doing? And what's happened to the people in fucking Israel? Are they so fucking scared that they're going to lose the Jewish state because the world is opposed to them? They got to bandy together. Well, that's part of it. I'll tell you something else, though. This chick, at one point, goes, I want everyone to know that this is the end of the video. I want you to understand why I made the decision, and I'm open for any of you to dialogue with. What? Let's dialogue. This is a little blonde, glasses-wearing chick waving her hand around still like a crackhead looking for that rock on the fucking carpet. And she's talking about she's willing to dialogue with anybody on what she's done and the choices that she's made. She's willing to dialogue with you. Here's part of the problem. The right talks about family values, good Christian values. If Jesus Christ popped up in my backyard right now, I mean, with the robes and the stuff and the angels flying out, if he was in my backyard right now, and all of a sudden, a whole bunch of people from the neighborhood came rushing over to hear the words of wisdom from the fucking Savior, from the Son of God. And so I got him some fucking leaves, and I got him a chair, and I put him there, and I made him a little mount, and he sat on the fucking thing, and he started talking to my neighbors. And Fox News heard about this going on. You know what they would say? There's some fucking commie stirring up the blacks over in fucking Tampa. That's exactly what they would fucking say. You want to know why we are in the position we are in today? We dialogue. We don't talk. We are in the position we are today because our religious leaders have allowed the corporatization of the message of the New Testament because it serves their fucking interests. Blessed are the poor, for they shall inherit the earth. No, Scott, that's not what he said. He said, blessed are the poor of spirits. Do you really fucking think in that day and age, in those fucking paintings of people in rags sitting around listening to fucking Jesus Christ on the fucking Mount, laying out the Beatitudes, do you really think for a fucking second he was talking to depressed rich people? Are you fucking stupid? That's our problem. We have been corporatized. We don't talk to each other, we dialogue. The poor aren't blessed, the poor of spirit, the depressed. They're the ones who are blessed. Fuck the poor. That's the message. That's the chorus. And that's why, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, anybody you listen to, anybody you take seriously, if they take a nickel from the 1630 fund, you should stop. There's other things about this. But I wanted to point out one last piece of deflection from her, which is as much bullshit as his fucking David Pakman's straw man about APAC, IPAC, whatever. I don't know how to say it. It's so stupid. Apparently, something that the messaging out of chorus has come up with that they're all saying the same things now. This is not just her. This is a thing from all these people. If they've been caught. Now, a bunch of them are still like, I hope nobody notices and nobody releases a list. Some are coming out on their own because they're afraid there's going to be a list. And they're saying things like this. We weren't told not to disclose our participation in this dark money program from chorus to influence you and how you see the world and how you think. No. We weren't told not to. We were told not to. This is literally what she says. We were told not to because trans people in red states. How does that work? Young lady, how does that work? Here's how it works. Somehow, if that young blonde lady waving her hand around like a fucking chicken head, if somehow she admits she herself took fucking dark money and discloses she's on the payroll, she's on the take, somehow that's going to affect somebody else in the program who might be trans in a red state, and then of course that person will somehow be, I don't know, whatever bullshit she's coming up with. I don't know. It's as if the people who hate trans people in red states only hate them if they're taking money from the 1630 Club. Because they're clearly trans, out as trans, in a red state, as an influencer. They got no problem doing that publicly, but apparently the moment it turns out they take money from 1630, the fucking KKK is going to show up at their house. It makes no fucking sense. It's sub 60 IQ argument, but this is the best they came up with. And here's the real kicker, folks. This blonde bitch with her hands waving around like she's on fire isn't trans. She's using somebody else's identity politics as plot armor for herself. Mm-hmm. I'll end with this because I got so animated with it. As we dialogue, the corporatization of our family values, the corporatization of our Christian values, the free marketization of Jesus Christ himself of Nazareth is what's, I think, at the root of our wayward ways, shall I say. We aren't made for this. We weren't made for this. In the 60s, this wasn't who we were as a national identity. Nor was it really in the 50s. It's part of what the message is of Death of a Salesman. It certainly isn't who we were in the 1930s and 40s and 50s. And it's not who Jesus Christ was. Jesus Christ ran a free healthcare clinic, healing the sick and the lame, rising folks from the dead. That's a pretty goddamn good free healthcare clinic. He also ran a fucking free grocery store feeding the poor for free and not ever expecting anything in return. God damn it, he even had his own fucking clinic where he gave out free pedicures, washing the feet of the fucking poor. Jesus Christ was a socialist in terms of his messaging, bringing us all together rather than the corporate ideology of driving us all apart with cold corporate language and free market worship. And I think that's part of our problem, and I think that's part of the Israelis' problem, and I think that's part of fucking Europe's problem, even though it took longer in Europe because, of course, Christianity wasn't as prevalent. Religion wasn't as prevalent in Europe. And they still, to this day, have a lot more socialism and universal health care and social safety nets and things like that than we do. But, thank goodness, our corporate Christians are working on them diligently. This whole thing is sad, and it is concerning that so many people are trying to make excuses for these people taking money. I don't care if you take money. I don't care if you sell out. But you should fucking, like, advertising. If you're gonna do an ad read for a fucking company, don't try to sneak it in with product placement. Oh, I love this soda. That's tasty. Don't try to sneak it in and be all sneaky keen with it. Do your goddamn ad read and go on. You know what Bill Hicks said about that shit. Good on him. He's absolutely right. You sell out, no one's ever going to believe a word out of your fucking mouth, which is why Chorus told them not to talk about it, not to admit it. It had nothing to do with some trans person in the red state who, by the way, was already out and trans and in social media and in the red state. What's going to piss off the Klan is not the fact that this trans person in the red state gets money from some corporation. That's not going to piss them off. And they're comfortable enough being out and trans in the red state in the first place. Good for them. That's not why Chorus did this. Chorus did it because it's only effective as a means by which to manipulate the public mind. If they don't know, the public doesn't know who's pushing the message. Where is it coming from? Now, 1630 Fund is still very dark, but as Open Secrets will tell you, if you go look, 99.9 or 99.5% of the funding comes from corporate America. Same ones, by the way, funding the alt-right. And to anybody out there who says we gotta fight fire with fire by selling out to Satan, I suggest that maybe the money in your pockets and this elevated lifestyle you're living now is really the root cause of why you say that and why you think that. The reality is, we need to get back to baseline journalism and tell people what we really think, and the truthfulness of our fucking message should stand alone. And if it can't survive against chicken heads waving their hands around like they're on fire and corporate money, then so be it. Then so be it. I'd rather go out on my fucking feet than on my goddamn knees. That's my take. And thank you for your time.